So these five guys have one overlooked success trait by most. And this is the thing that's allowed them to be successful. It's not their content empires, it's not the whys behind them, it's not their money, and it's definitely not their products. Look, the trait is endurance. So come with me to my studio as we break down what endurance is and how you can use it, how I've used it to be able to create the success in my life that I desire and manifest the things that I want. So the question I ask of you is
endurance the number one characteristic and quality of a person that dictates whether they will be successful with their goals and their life or not? Because the question you should ask yourself is, how far are you willing to go to achieve the results in the life that you really desire? Endurance is the ability to go however far it takes to be able to reach the goal and desire. And I think that endurance is the number one characteristic that determines whether somebody or not is going to be successful. And I'm going to explain to you why with the story of how I went from being only able to run for 10 minutes at a time and running out of breath to being able to do a 30-mile run, 4 half Ironmans, having success in business. And this is one of the things that I help people with their business that usually stops them from the success that they want. I've helped hundreds of people become who they need to be in order to hit their goals. And endurance typically is the one that most people are missing. And I'll share with you the number 2 one that most people are missing at the end of this video. So I'm going to share with you 4 things that you can do right now that are going to help you build the characteristic of endurance so that you can have the results and the life that you really desire. So the first thing I think of when I think about endurance, I think of the story about 3 Feet from Gold, where there's a diamond miner looking to finally reach the gold mine of diamonds that he has on his property. And so every day he goes out and with his pickaxe and he's picking away, excavating the area, looking for his diamonds. And he goes week after week, month after month, in search of these diamonds, his treasure. And so that's his goal, is to be able to find these diamonds. But one day, he gets so fed up of the fact that he hasn't seen the diamonds that he gives up. And if he would have looked for just a little bit longer, he would have found that he was only 3 feet away from diamonds. So the question I ask you is, how many times have you done this in your life where you've started a project and you stopped? Where you're super excited about something and then you quit right before any results happen, where you think it's hard and then you just switch your focus and your goals. It's super common. I used to be this way. And so that's why I could talk about it, is because I've been there. And this was the number one characteristic that I realized after talking to so many successful people that I needed to develop internally. And so I chose to literally go after endurance racing to be able to help me build this characteristic, because I believe that how we do one thing is how we do everything. And then there's a point where it doesn't and they don't translate. But for most people, how you do one thing is how you do everything. If you're putting off doing the dishes and doing the laundry and keeping up with your bills, well, then you're probably doing that in your business and you're not actually following through on the things that you say you're going to do. And so I believe if you were to really hone in on this skill of endurance and become the endurance master that you must be, your goals have no other option than to eventually manifest, for you to actually reach that finish line of that destination that you have in your mind. Whether that comes to something specific with your life, with your relationships, with your money, with your love, with traveling, like whatever it is, you can actually reach that goal if you do these 4 things. So number 1, super simple. You must decide that you will do what it takes and have the endurance and build the endurance, no matter what it takes from you, how uncomfortable it is, to be able to actually make it to the results. So you must decide that you're willing to go to the distance. Number 2, you must have a plan and be willing to pivot along the way. So the thing that worked for me in being able to do the half Ironmans was I had a 16-week plan that could take me from not being able to run very often. I never really swam. Like, I knew how to swim. I didn't know how to bike in terms of like being on a road bike and being out there for more than 10 miles at a time. And I took a plan that was proven that somebody else had done before me just to make it faster. It's a key to being able to get to the results faster, is find somebody who's already got the result and ask them what they did. And I had the 16-week plan and I did not deviate from it. So I committed to being consistent and going all the way. And for 16 weeks, I trained. And then when the 16 weeks had passed and that race came up and I crossed that start line, I knew I was going to make it to the finish line no matter what. And so I did. Fast forward a couple of years later, I've done 3 more, 4 total, done a 30-mile race. And then I've had a lot of results with success in business and helping other people do something similar. So number 3 is surrendering to the fact that it's going to be uncomfortable, it's going to be challenging, it's going to push you, it's going to test you, it might be emotional, it's going to come with highs, it's going to come with the lows. So if you're willing to accept that that's going to happen, and then a pro tip is if you can think through what are the common things that usually come up for you when you go after your goals, the thoughts, the doubts, the fears, the wondering if you're good enough, the knowing that you're not going to feel like it a lot of the days. Like if you can get clear on what that is before and have a plan on how you're going to respond when those moments come up, when those thoughts come up, when those feelings come up, when the doubts and the insecurities come up, then guess what? You already know what your immediate response is, so you can handle it with that response and then do what you normally don't do, which is quit, stop, and then come up with the reasons and excuses and blame outside circumstance as the reason why you're not going to continue to do the thing. So you must be willing to be uncomfortable and know that it's going to come with challenges. I mean, this is why most people in the world aren't doing and getting the results they want in their life, is because they're not willing to walk through who they must become. And you must become somebody new to have the result, because if it were any other way, you would already be the person, because you are the person that has the result. The thing is you don't have the results, so you're not doing the thing, and you're not being the person. So you're not out there training and building the endurance that's necessary to become the endurance person, consistent person that you must become, with the plan, executing on the plan, following through on the action to be able to get to the results. And so number 4, and this is that second characteristic that I alluded to at the beginning of this video that is usually missing for a lot of people, is you must become consistent. That 16-week plan, I had the endurance to do it for 16 weeks, but I had the ability to be consistent every single day, because of the lack of consistency is usually killing most people's momentum and what's actually needed for them to begin to see the progress, which begins to become a cycle of feedback that is they're doing the right thing, where they can see the results. That momentum will start to build, and eventually you'll experience yourself in a new way. Because when I first did not know how to run past 10 minutes at a time without being out of breath, and that month that I made the decision, like I said, number 1, came up with a plan, number 2, on how often I was going to run, and then number 3, I had accepted the fact that it was going to be challenging. There was going to be days that I wanted to quit, and it was going to be uncomfortable. And then number 4, I became consistent with that plan that I came up with. I went from 10 minutes running max to, within less than 30 days, being able to run 7 miles in under an hour. And so the reason I say this is you must be willing to become consistent in your plan and follow through to be able to build that endurance. Because consistency and endurance go hand in hand. And those are 2 characteristic traits that are absolutely integral for anybody to create the results they want in their life or any area of their life that matters. And so I focus on upgrading people's lives, and this is one of the easiest ways that I have found and come across that is directly translatable to upgrading their life and the results that they're having in their life. Whether that's in business or relationships or money or finance, you must have the endurance to get to the result, because think about it from this perspective. On a long enough time horizon, if you were to be able to try a bajillion things, eventually one of those bajillion things would get to the results. So it's about being consistent, it's about having the endurance to go the distance, and then being willing to be uncomfortable in falling along the way, learning along the way, getting better along the way, and looking for feedback within yourself and maybe from other people that you trust around you, or somebody that's come before you that's gotten the result that can give you that direct line of feedback that might help you shine lights on your blind spots that will then support you in being able to expedite the results, get the results faster. So let's go over those 4 one more time. Be sure to write these down, put them on a sticky note, put them on your wall, put them on your bathroom mirror, put them somewhere you can see them every single day, because this is the thing that will generate the results that you want in your life. So number 1, decide that you are going to commit and go for it and build this characteristic of endurance. Number 2, create a plan that supports you in following through in the direct result of building that characteristic of endurance, whatever it is. Making more money, going for runs, training for a marathon, whatever it is. Number 3, be willing to accept that it's going to be uncomfortable. You must surrender to the doubts, the fears, the uncomfortableness that's going to come along the way, because it's outside of your comfort zone. So of course it's going to come with the fears and the doubts, the butterflies, and all the things that are normal when you are upgrading your life and upgrading who you are as a person. And number 4, you must become consistent with that plan and follow through. So look, if you want to upgrade who you are and the results that you're having in your life, whether that comes to relationships and dating, whether that comes to having more fun and adventure, whether that comes to upgrading your business and getting more leads and sales, starting your business, monetizing online, being able to be in control of your time and your freedom. This is exactly what I help people with, is having the leadership, having the endurance, having this consistency, becoming the person that they must in order to have the results that they desire in their life. And so if that's something that interests you, be sure to subscribe. If you want a little bit more help than just a couple of videos on YouTube, then be sure to check out in the description below. I've got a couple of options on ways that you can work with me. And be sure to drop a comment of any of your questions in regards to endurance and building the skill set of endurance so that you can achieve the life and the results that you want in your life. And I'll see you on the next video. Peace, love, and prosperity to you on your success. I'll see you on the next video. Bye. So here's the story of what happened to illustrate really how powerful this is. And then I'll cover the 4 things in this story that worked for me to be able to build this characteristic of endurance. Again, to go from only 10 minutes of running to being able to do 4 half Ironmans, to being able to do a 30-mile run. And again, this is what's helped me in being able to build a brand that we had the option to sell out to a $500 million well-known company. The ability to sell $2 million in high-ticket sales. All of those areas are the exact same. This translates not just from running a marathon and doing half Ironmans, but it relates to business and all areas of life as well. So I decided that I wanted to learn how to run because I just felt like that was something that I could benefit from in my life. I saw the opportunity to grow as a person through running. The day that I decided, I went out for a run and I found out that I could only run like 10 minutes at a time without being winded and out of breath. So I found out where I was. I then decided that I wanted to be able to run within the next 2 months, 7 miles under an hour. I didn't know how long that would take to actually be able to work up to that. Spoiler alert, I did it in less than 30 days. I also knew that it was going to be uncomfortable because for me to go from only running 10 minutes at a time to all of a sudden being able to run 3, 4, 5 miles, that's 30, 40, 50 minutes potentially. I knew that it was going to be uncomfortable. Like literally, my body would be uncomfortable with not being used to doing that. And then mentally and emotionally, it was going to come with a level of uncomfortability as well. But I was willing to lean into that and walk through that so that I could get to my goal. And then I had a reason why, which is I wanted to build this endurance characteristic. So there was a deep rooted why. And if you don't know why you're doing something, you're missing part of what will support you when the moments get tough to keep going. But I was willing to create the plan to be able to learn how to run. I didn't know how quickly I was going to be able to do it, but I found out that I would jump over different steps. So I was moving way faster than the plan I had created. And I was consistent with that plan. So I want to talk about the 4th elements that were important in this story that allowed me to be able to get to the results so that you can use this in your life to be able to build the endurance and the skill that you must become and have so that you can have the results and upgrade your life in the ways that you want.